Hello there, and welcome to HistSleep channel. Tonight, we are not just traveling through time, we are traveling deep into the very architecture of your own existence. Have you ever wondered why a giant oak tree can stand still for 500 years while the tiny hummingbird burns through its entire life in just a few summers? What if I told you that from the very moment you were born, your body was handed a ledger, a biological budget, that was never meant to be replenished? Tonight, we unravel the mystery of why we age and the incredible sacrifice our ancestors made to give us the minds we have today at the cost of our eternal youth. Stay with me as we count the currency of life and look into the mirror of evolution. Before we step into the quiet laboratory of time, if these slow histories help you find rest, please consider subscribing to the channel. A gentle like on this video allows our stories to drift, like falling leaves, to other weary souls who need this peace. And I would love to know, in the comments, what part of history, or what corner of the natural world, brings you the most stillness. Your support is the soft light that guides us through these long nights. Now, take a slow, very deep breath. Feel the weight of the day beginning to dissolve. Imagine the tension leaving your shoulders and sinking into the earth below. Close your eyes and let the world outside simply fade away. Imagine a vast, silent hall made of marble and moonlight. On a long, wooden table lies a golden ledger. This is the ledger of life. And on its very first page, your name is written in ink that is still wet. Next to it is a number. It isn't a number of years or a number of heartbeats. It is a budget of pure, raw energy. This is what scientists call the biological budget. In the natural world, every creature, from the smallest insect to the largest whale, is a business. A biological business that must manage its resources. Energy is the currency, and survival is the only profit. Think of your body as a complex machine that requires constant maintenance. Every cell, every protein, every beat of your heart costs a tiny fraction of that original budget. But here is the mystery. Why did evolution give some creatures a fortune and others just a handful of coins? Consider the Galapagos tortoise. It moves with a deliberate, almost sacred slowness. Its heart beats only a few times a minute. It lives in a state of permanent patience. Because it spends its budget so slowly, it can watch the centuries pass like clouds over the ocean. It is a master of biological frugality. Now, imagine the shrew. A tiny, frantic creature whose heart beats 1,000 times in a single minute. It lives in a state of constant emergency. It must eat almost every hour, or it will simply run out of fuel. It spends its entire budget in a magnificent, desperate flash. Its life is a short story written in a hurry. And then, there is us. Humans. We are the most peculiar spenders in all of nature. Millions of years ago, our ancestors stood at a crossroads on the African savanna. They had a choice, though they didn't know it. They could spend their budget on physical durability, on thick skin, powerful claws, and a body that could repair itself forever. Or they could take a massive risk. They could take the majority of that energy, the lion's share of the budget, and invest it in the brain. We chose the brain. And that choice changed everything. Think about the sheer cost of being human. While you are sitting here, listening to my voice, your brain, which is only about 2% of your body weight, is consuming 20% of your total energy. It is a high-maintenance furnace that never stops burning. To feed this intelligence, we had to make a trade. We became brilliant, we became social, we became masters of fire and tools, but we sacrificed our biological warranty. We spent the budget on the software and left the hardware to fend for itself. As you lay there, feeling the stillness of the room, think about the millions of tiny processes happening inside you. Your cells are like tiny workers in a vast factory. In your youth, the budget is overflowing. The workers are fast, they repair every scratch, they replace every broken part, they keep the walls painted and the floors polished. Everything feels permanent. But the ledger is always being subtracted from. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the budget begins to tighten. Evolution, the cold accountant, only cares about one thing: getting you to the age where you can pass on your genes. Once that task is done, the accountant starts to close the books. It begins to pull back the funding for maintenance. A small error in a strand of DNA is left uncorrected. A tiny bit of protein is allowed to fold incorrectly. The repairs become a little slower. The good enough becomes the standard rather than the perfect. This is the beginning of the long, quiet walk we call aging. But do not feel sadness. Feel the wonder of it. For a brief window of time in a vast, cold universe, you were given a spark. You were given the ability to perceive the stars, to feel the warmth of a hand, to remember the scent of rain, and to listen to stories of the past. The budget was spent to give you consciousness. To give you, you. We are the only creatures who can look at our own ledger and understand the math. We can see the decline, and instead of fear, we can find a deep, resonant peace. Because we know that the energy we are spending is being used to experience the miracle of being alive. The wind outside might be cold. The shadows in the corner might be long. But here, inside the quiet temple of your body, the work continues. Even now, as you drift towards sleep, your body is carefully and quietly allocating its remaining resources. It is slowing your heart, cooling your skin, and preparing your mind for the restorative journey of the night. The biological budget is a gift of finite time. And as the pages of your ledger turn slowly in the breeze of the night, let yourself be grateful for every entry, for every expense, and for the quiet beauty of the diminishing ink. Sleep now. Let the accountant rest. Let the ledger close for the night. You have spent your energy well today. And tomorrow there will be just enough for one more beautiful, slow story. The hall of marble is dimming now. The golden ledger is heavy and still. The candles are flickering and going out one by one. There is only the silence and the steady, rhythmic breath of life. Welcome back as we drift further into the quiet corridors of time. In our last movement, we spoke of the biological budget, that golden ledger of energy and intent. But now, we must look closer at the contract itself. Why is the ledger designed this way? Why does nature seemingly turn its back on us once we reach a certain age? Tonight, we explore the evolutionary trade-off. The hidden bargain struck in the deep, dark forests of our ancestry where we traded longevity for the chance to simply exist. Stay with me in the stillness as we uncover the secrets written in our very marrow. Imagine, if you will, a vast, primordial landscape. We are standing on the edge of a prehistoric savanna, just as the sun is beginning to dip below the horizon. The grass is tall, a pale, golden sea rippling in a warm breeze. Here, life is fast, and it is fragile. In this world, death is not a distant concept, it is a constant neighbor. A predator's shadow, a sudden infection, a season of drought. In the wild, most creatures never get the chance to grow old. Evolution, that silent, ancient force, is not a kind mother. It is a cold, calculating engineer. Its only goal, its only obsession, is the continuation of the line. It does not care for the comfort of the individual, it only cares that the relay race of life continues. Think about the trade-off. If you were designing a life form, would you spend your energy making it live for 200 years? Or would you spend that energy making sure it could run fast, find food, and raise its young before the shadows of the forest claimed it? Nature made a choice. It decided to front-load our vitality. It poured all its craftsmanship into our youth. It gave us bones that could heal, skin that could knit back together, and a heart that could pump with the strength of a tidal wave. This is the antagonistic pleiotropy, a complex name for a simple, bittersweet reality. The very genes that make us strong and vibrant when we are young are the same genes that begin to dismantle us as the years pass. It is a grand, cosmic irony. The fire that keeps us warm in the morning is the same fire that eventually begins to char the hearth. Take, for example, the way your body handles calcium. When you are a child, your genes are frantic, pulling calcium from the world to build a fortress of bone. It is essential. It is the foundation of your strength. But that same biological drive, that same instruction, doesn't stop. Decades later, that same process may begin to deposit calcium in places it doesn't belong. In your arteries, in your soft tissues. The builder has become the obstructionist. Why didn't evolution fix this? Why didn't it build a switch to turn off these processes once they became harmful? The answer is as quiet as the night itself. Because by the time these problems arise, evolution has already won. You have already lived, you have already loved, you have already passed the torch to the next generation. In the eyes of nature, the individual is a disposable vessel for an immortal message. Once the message is delivered, the vessel is no longer a priority. As you lie there, listen to the silence of your room. Can you feel the echoes of those ancient decisions within your own chest? We are living in a post-evolutionary space. We have created medicine, we have built walls, we have conquered the predators, and delayed the infections. We are living long enough to see the fine print of the contract. We are seeing what happens when the warranty expires, but the machine keeps running. Imagine a clockmaker in a small, dusty shop centuries ago. He is building a watch for a traveler. He knows the traveler is going on a dangerous journey across mountains and stormy seas. The clockmaker doesn't build the watch to last 1,000 years. He builds it to be perfectly accurate for the duration of the journey. He uses the finest springs, the most delicate gears. He knows that eventually the salt air will rust the metal, and the springs will lose their tension. But if the traveler reaches their destination, the watch has done its job. You are that traveler. And your body is that exquisite watch. There is a peace in understanding this trade-off. It removes the feeling that aging is a mistake or a failure of the self. It is not. It is a design feature. It is the price we paid for the intensity of our youth, for the brilliance of our eyes, the speed of our thoughts, and the depth of our passions. We traded a long, gray, static existence for a shorter, vivid, brilliant one. Think of the grandmother hypothesis. One of the few reasons humans live so long past their reproductive years is social. Evolution saw value in the wisdom of the elders. It saw that a tribe with grandmothers and grandfathers had a better chance of survival. They knew where the water was hidden during the drought. They knew which berries were poisonous and which were medicine. They held the stories that kept the tribe together. And so, the trade-off was adjusted, just a little bit. We were given a few extra decades, not for ourselves, but for each other. Our longevity is a social gift. Feel the weight of your limbs sinking deeper into the mattress. Let the tension in your jaw simply melt away. Your body is not fighting you. It is simply following an ancient rhythm, a song written in the stars, and the dust, and the DNA of a billion ancestors. The trade-off is a signature of our humanity. We are the creatures who lived fast enough to conquer the world, and then lived long enough to wonder why. The savannah is dark now. The golden grass has turned to shadows. The predators are asleep, and the stars are the only watchers. Your journey for today is over. The traveler has found the inn. The watch, though its gears are worn, is still ticking, softly, steadily, under your pillow. Let the thoughts of the why and the how drift away like smoke from a dying fire. You are here. You are safe. You are part of a magnificent, ancient, and perfectly balanced bargain. The night is vast. The history is long. And your rest is well earned. Close the ledger of the day. Release the trade-offs of the past. Sink into the darkness where there are no budgets, no contracts, and no time. Only the quiet, only the breath, only the sleep. Welcome back into the deepening silence of our journey. We have explored the budget of life and the invisible trade-offs that nature made on our behalf. But now we must look at the crown jewel of human existence. Our mind. Our ability to dream, to calculate the distance of stars, and to wonder about our own beginning. Tonight, we talk about the price of intelligence. For every spark of brilliance, for every complex thought, there was a tax. A biological debt that our bodies are still paying. Stay with me as we drift into the heavy, glowing center of what it means to be the thinkers of the world. Imagine a vast, dark ocean at midnight. And in the middle of that ocean, there is a lighthouse. Its beam is powerful, cutting through the fog, illuminating the waves, revealing the secrets hidden in the mist. That lighthouse is your brain. It is the most complex structure in the known universe. But a light that burns that bright requires an immense amount of oil. In the animal kingdom, most creatures are built for efficiency. A crocodile can wait for months without a single meal. Its body is a masterpiece of energy conservation. It does not think about the future, it does not regret the past. It simply is. Its brain is small, focused only on the immediate, the physical, the essential. But humans, we took a different path. About 2 million years ago, something extraordinary began to happen. Our ancestors' brains began to expand. Not just a little, but rapidly, explosively. We were growing a biological supercomputer inside our skulls. But this supercomputer was greedy. Even as you lie here, perfectly still, your brain is working. It is the most expensive organ you own. It represents only 2% of your total body weight, and yet it demands 20% of every breath you take and every calorie you consume. It is a luxury that the rest of nature simply cannot afford. Think about the sacrifice the rest of your body had to make to keep this lighthouse burning. To feed the brain, we had to shrink our digestive systems. We had to find high-quality fuel, like cooked meat and energy-dense plants. We traded the raw, physical power of our primate cousins for the subtle power of logic and imagination. A chimpanzee is several times stronger than a human because its energy is in its muscles. Our energy is in our thoughts. But the price of intelligence goes deeper than just food. It is written in our very bones. Because our brains became so large, human babies have to be born early. If a human brain were allowed to fully mature in the womb, it would be too large for birth. And so, unlike a fawn that can stand and run within hours of being born, a human infant is completely helpless for years. This created a ripple effect in our history. It forced us to become social. It forced us to build families, tribes, and communities to protect the vulnerable young. Our intelligence created our need for love and our need for each other. As you feel the cool air entering and leaving your lungs, think about the heat that your brain generates. This constant activity, this internal fire, creates a biological exhaust. Over decades, the sheer intensity of maintaining such a high-functioning mind takes its toll on the vessel. We are like high-performance racing cars, with engines that are too powerful for their own frames. The very intelligence that allows us to solve the problems of the world is the same intelligence that makes us aware of our own fragility. A dog does not worry about the passing years. A bird does not contemplate the end of its flight. But we, because of our large brains, carry the weight of time. We narrate our own lives. We see the horizon, and we know that eventually the sun will set. This awareness is perhaps the highest price of all. It is the existential tax. But look at what we bought with that price. Because we can think, we can find beauty in the mundane. We can look at a simple candle flame and see the history of the universe. We can hear the sound of the wind and turn it into music. We can lie in the dark, like you are doing now, and travel through time, through these stories. Your intelligence is a bridge. It allows you to step out of your physical body and into the realm of the eternal. As your thoughts begin to slow and the boundaries of your mind begin to soften, realize that the boring history of our species is actually a grand epic. We are the creatures who dared to be smart, knowing it would make us tired. We are the creatures who dared to remember, knowing it would make us sad. And we are the creatures who dare to dream even when the body is ready for rest. The lighthouse is dimming its beam now. The fog is rolling in, soft and gray. The brain, that magnificent, hungry engine is finally shifting into a lower gear. It is time for the maintenance crew of the night to take over. They will clean the lenses, they will refill the oil, and they will prepare the mind for another day of brilliant, expensive, beautiful thought. Let the complexity dissolve into simplicity. Let the questions fade into the quiet hum of the universe. Your mind has done enough today. It has earned this darkness. It has earned this peace. The price has been paid. The ledger is balanced. Sink now into the deep, thoughtless velvet of a dreamless sleep. You are more than your thoughts. You are the stillness behind them. Stay here in the quiet safety of this moment. We have explored the costs and the heavy taxes of our intelligence. But tonight, we must look at the tension that exists within you right now. The tension between your ancient body and your modern life. Think of your body as the hardware, a biological machine forged in the fires of millions of years. And think of your culture, your technology, and your daily routine as the software. Tonight, we talk about the mismatch of living with the hardware of a hunter-gatherer in a world designed for the immortal. Stay with me as we listen to the silent argument between who we were and who we have become. Imagine a grand ancient clock made of heavy iron and brass. It was built by a master craftsman centuries ago to work in a cold, stone cathedral. Its gears are large, its rhythm is slow, and it thrives on the steady, predictable pull of gravity. Now, imagine taking that same clock and placing it inside a high-speed jet or a vibrating laboratory. The clock is the same, but the environment is unrecognizable. That clock is your biology. Your hardware, the cells, the hormones, and the ancient circuits of your brain hasn't changed much in 50,000 years. If you were to take a human from the Stone Age and place them here, in your room, their heart would beat just like yours. Their lungs would seek the same air. Their eyes would scan the shadows for the same dangers. Our biological blueprint is an ancient masterpiece designed for a world of vast distances, physical struggle, and the quiet rhythms of the sun and moon. But our software, the way we live today, has accelerated at a terrifying speed. We have uploaded a 21st century operating system onto a prehistoric computer. And sometimes the hardware begins to groan under the weight. Think about the silence of the room around you. For most of human history, the night was truly dark. The only light was the amber glow of a fire or the pale silver of the moon. Our hardware learned to recognize these signals. When the light turned warm and the blue of the day faded, our bodies knew it was time for the repair and restore cycle. Melatonin would flood the system like a cooling wave, washing away the day's fatigue. But now, our software demands constant light. We carry small, glowing suns in our pockets. We sit in rooms that are as bright at midnight as they are at noon. Our hardware is confused. It is trying to run the sleep program while the software is still signaling daylight. This friction, this mismatch, is one of the silent taxes of the modern world. As you lie there, let your muscles release. They are built for a type of work they rarely do anymore. Our hardware was designed to walk for miles, to climb, to carry, to build. It expects the stress of the physical world. But our software has outsourced that work to machines. We spend our days in chairs, while our ancient systems wait for a hunt that never comes. Our bodies are like thoroughbred horses, kept in a small stall. The energy, the potential, has nowhere to go, and so it turns inward. It becomes restlessness. It becomes tension in your neck and in your jaw. It becomes the software of anxiety running on hardware that was meant for survival. Consider the way we eat. For millions of years, our hardware operated on a simple rule: if you find sugar or fat, eat all of it. Because tomorrow, there might be nothing. This was a brilliant survival strategy in the wilderness. It kept our ancestors alive through the long winters. But today, our software has created a world where those things are everywhere. We are still running the scarcity program in a world of abundance. Our hardware is trying to protect us by storing energy for a famine that will never arrive. We are living in a paradox. We have used our software to create the most comfortable life in history. We have conquered the cold. We have eliminated the predators. We have silenced the hunger. And yet, our hardware misses the struggle. It misses the clear, simple goals of the ancient world. As you breathe, feel the air filling your chest. This is the same breath that moved through the lungs of explorers and hunters and mothers 10,000 years ago. Your hardware is a sacred link to the entire history of life. It is a temple of resilience. The software of our minds is often cluttered. It is full of lists and worries and notifications and the endless noise of a connected world. But tonight, we are going to press pause. We are going to let the software go quiet. We are going back to the hardware. Listen to the rhythm of your heart. It doesn't need software to tell it how to beat. Feel the automatic, effortless rise and fall of your abdomen. Your body knows how to be. It knows how to heal. It knows how to find the path back to the stillness. The modern world is a loud, frantic story written in a language your body doesn't fully understand. But the night speaks the language of the hardware. It speaks in shadows and cool air and the slow, heavy weight of gravity. Let the digital thoughts, the modern concerns, and the software of your identity simply dissolve. You are not your job. You are not your to-do list. You are not your social standing. You are a biological miracle. A vessel of ancient wisdom, finally getting the chance to rest. The iron clock in the cathedral is ticking softly. The high-speed jet has landed and the engines have been turned off. The vibration is gone. There is only the steady, slow, beautiful rhythm of a machine that has finally found its home. The hardware is cooling down. The software is shutting down window by window until the screen is dark. There is nothing more to process. There is nothing more to calculate. There is only the quiet and the breath and the ancient, perfect peace of the animal at rest. Take a moment to listen to the silence that lives between your heartbeats. We have traveled through the mismatch of our modern world and felt the friction of our ancient bones. But now, we enter a more intimate space. The space of the story we tell ourselves about our own fading. In the wild, a creature simply slows down. It does not wonder why. It does not mourn the loss of its speed. But we are the storytellers. We narrate our own decline, turning a biological process into a long, slow poem. Tonight, we look at the narrative of decay, not as a tragedy, but as a natural and quiet completion. Imagine an old library in a house that has seen 100 winters. The air is thick with the scent of dried paper and old wood. On the shelves, there are thousands of books. Some are new with crisp, white pages. But others, the ones at the very back, have covers that are worn thin. Their spines are cracked, and their pages have turned a deep, warm amber. Is the old book broken? No. It is simply experienced. It has been read many times. Its edges have been softened by the touch of hands. Its ink has faded slightly because it has lived in the light. This is the narrative of decay. In nature, decay is not the end. It is a transformation. When a great cedar tree falls in the forest, it does not disappear. It becomes a nurse log. It provides the foundation for 1,000 new lives. Moss covers its bark like a soft, green velvet blanket. Ferns grow from its hollows. It returns its budget back to the earth with a quiet, steady grace. But humans, we have a complex relationship with this return. Because we have such powerful minds, we see the wrinkles on our skin, not as a map of our laughter, but as a countdown. We see the slowing of our step, not as a transition into a deeper wisdom, but as a loss of our utility. We have been taught, by a loud and frantic world, that to fade is to fail. But tonight, in this darkness, we are going to change that story. Close your eyes and feel the heavy, comfortable weight of your body. Think of the 1,000,000 miles your blood has traveled through your veins. Think of the thousands of dreams that have flickered behind your eyelids. Your body is not a machine that is breaking down. It is a vessel that is becoming more and more full. The decay we fear is often just the body simplifying its needs. When you were young, the narrative was about expansion. More strength, more speed, more knowledge, more light. But as the ledger of life turns its pages, the narrative shifts to conservation. The body begins to pull its energy inward, toward the core. It stops trying to conquer the world and starts trying to understand it. There is a beauty in a garden in late autumn. The flowers have long since dropped their petals. The stems are brittle and brown. The vibrant green of summer has surrendered to the deep browns and grays of the earth. There is a profound, heavy silence in that garden. It is not the silence of death, it is the silence of a job well done. The seeds are already in the ground. The story is complete. We are the only animals who can appreciate the aesthetics of a ruin. We travel thousands of miles to look at the crumbling walls of Rome or the weathered stones of Stonehenge. We see the moss and the cracks and the missing pieces, and we find them beautiful. We find them soulful. Why? Because they show us that time is real. They show us that something existed and endured and eventually accepted the embrace of the earth. Your own narrative of decay is no different. The softening of your features, the silver in your hair, the way your voice has deepened and settled. These are not flaws. They are the patina of a life lived. They are the marks of a soul that has stayed for the whole story. Think about the stars. Even they have a narrative of decay. A star burns with a fierce, white-hot intensity for billions of years. And then it begins to cool. It expands, it turns a deep, glowing red. It becomes a red giant. It is no longer a young, aggressive furnace. It is an old, wise, luminous presence in the dark. And when it finally fades, it leaves behind a cloud of stardust that will eventually become a new world. You are made of that stardust. You are following that same celestial path. As you drift closer to the edge of sleep, let go of the software of vanity. Let go of the need to be a new book. Accept the amber pages. Accept the softened edges. Feel the relief of no longer needing to be perfect. The world outside is obsessed with the new. The new phone, the new car, the new face. It is a shallow, exhausted narrative. But here, in the ancient dark, we honor the old. We honor the endurance. We honor the slow, quiet process of returning. Your breath is a bridge between the expansion of the day and the contraction of the night. With every exhale, you are practicing the art of letting go. You are releasing a tiny bit of your budget back into the air, back into the room, back into the world. And the world accepts it. Without judgment. Without hurry. Listen to the clock if there is one in the room. Or listen to the hum of your own blood in your ears. Each second is a tiny bit of decay and a tiny bit of creation. You are being remade in the silence. The narrative is coming to a close for today. The pen is being laid down. The ink is drying on the final sentence of the chapter. And it is a good sentence. It is a sentence about peace. It is a sentence about rest. The old library is dark now. The books are settled on their shelves, safe in their worn covers. The fire in the hearth has turned to soft, glowing embers. There is no more need for words. The story has been told. Sink into the velvet folds of the narrative. Let the decay be a comfort. Let the fading be a grace. You are a masterpiece in the process of becoming part of the earth once again. Sleep now. In the beautiful, quiet ruin of the night. Stay here for a moment longer in the soft, gray twilight of your thoughts. We have looked at the tension between our inner hardware and the software of our minds. But now, I want you to feel the space around you. The walls, the bed, the artificial stillness of a modern room. We are living in a world of our own making, a world of total abundance. Yet, deep inside, our cells are searching for a world that no longer exists. Tonight, we explore the mismatch of modernity. A quiet story about how we became strangers in a land we built for ourselves. Let the day go, and let us walk back into the rhythms we were born for. Imagine, if you can, a vast, open plain, beneath a sky so wide it feels like it could swallow the earth. Our ancestors spent 99% of their history in that world. A world where the temperature was never constant, where the ground was uneven, and where every meal was a victory of patience. Their bodies were forged in the furnace of enough, but never too much. Now, feel the mattress beneath you. The climate-controlled air, the silence of a house that keeps the wind at bay. We have created a sanctuary, a perfect, stable environment. But our biology, our ancient, restless biology, thrives on challenge. We were designed to be anti-fragile. We were built to grow stronger when faced with the cold, the hunger, and the physical weight of the world. When we removed the struggle, we inadvertently removed the signals that tell our bodies how to function. Think of the way you move. Our joints and muscles are the result of millions of years of climbing, squatting, and reaching. They are hungry for motion. But in this modern mismatch, we move in straight lines. We sit at 90-degree angles. We walk on flat, paved surfaces that never ask our ankles to balance or our cores to engage. We have outsourced our movement to machines, and our bodies have become quiet museums of potential. And as we sit still, our minds begin to race. Because the energy that was once spent on the physical world now has nowhere to go but inward. Consider the abundance of light and the mismatch of our eyes. For eons, our pupils dilated to the soft glow of a campfire or the dim light of a cave. This light didn't demand attention, it invited reflection. But today, we are bathed in blue light. A light that mimics the high noon sun, even when it is 2 in the morning. Our hardware is screaming, work, hunt, stay alert, while our weary souls are whispering, sleep. This friction, this quiet battle between our surroundings and our DNA, creates a state of low-level stress. A background hum of anxiety that we have come to accept as normal. But it isn't normal. It is the sound of a mismatch. It is the sound of a desert creature living in a rainforest. Think about the silence of the modern night. In the ancient world, the night was never truly silent. There was the crackle of wood, the distant howl of a wolf, the rustle of leaves. These were honest sounds. They told us exactly where we were, and that we were safe, or that we needed to be alert. But today, our silence is artificial. It is filled with the hum of the refrigerator, the distant drone of a highway, the buzz of a transformer. These are ghost sounds. Our ancient ears don't know how to interpret them. They are looking for the wind, but they find the vibration of a machine. As you lay there, let yourself acknowledge this mismatch. It is not your fault that you feel restless. It is not a failure of your mind that it finds it hard to switch off. You are simply an ancient being trying to navigate a neon-lit labyrinth. Your body is still looking for the moon to tell it when to dream. It is still looking for the morning dew to tell it when to wake. It is still looking for the community, the small tribe, where everyone's face was familiar and every voice was a comfort. In the modern world, we are surrounded by thousands of people, yet we often feel more alone than the hunter, sitting by his solitary fire. Because our biology seeks depth, while our modernity provides breadth. We have 1,000 digital connections, but the hardware of our hearts seeks the warmth of a single, physical presence. But here, in the dark, we can bridge that gap. We can give the body what it craves. We can give it stillness. We can give it slow, rhythmic breathing. We can give it a story that doesn't demand anything from it. No clicks, no likes, no scrolling, no judgment. Feel the weight of your body as it truly is. Not as a tool for work, not as a vessel for social media, but as a living, breathing part of nature. Even in this modern room, you are still a creature of the earth. Your blood is still salty, like the ancient oceans. Your bones are still made of the same minerals as the mountains. Your breath is still a gift from the trees. The mismatch is real, but it is not absolute. You can choose, in this moment, to step out of the software of the city and back into the hardware of the forest. Imagine the floor of your room turning into soft, damp moss. Imagine the walls dissolving into a circle of ancient oaks. Imagine the hum of the electronics fading into the gentle, rhythmic chirping of a cricket somewhere in the long grass. Nature is not out there. It is in here. The modern world is just a thin veil draped over an ancient reality. And tonight, we are pulling back that veil. We are letting the mismatch dissolve. We are giving the biological machine exactly what it was designed for. Darkness, cool air, and the total, absolute permission to do nothing. The world of 2026, with its speed and its lights, is fading away. The lights are going out, one by one, across the vast grid of the city. The satellites are passing overhead, silent and cold. But you are here, in the ancient dark. You are safe. You are home. Let the mismatch end. Let the ancient and the modern find a quiet truce. Sleep now, as the hunter slept. Sleep now, as the gatherer slept. Beneath the same stars, in the same silence, in the same eternal peace. Stay with the breath. Feel the way it moves, like a slow tide, against the shores of your ribs. We have honored the narrative of our fading, but now we must look under the hood. We must look at the mechanical truth of how a long life begins to quiet down. You see, the human body does not fail all at once, like a candle being blown out. Instead, it is a fragmented breakdown. A slow, unsynchronized, and deeply rhythmic symphony of systems, each deciding, in its own time, to turn down the lights. Tonight, we listen to the machinery of the self as it learns the art of letting go. Imagine a grand, sprawling estate that has been in the same family for centuries. It is a place of 1,000 rooms and 1,000 stories. There is the engine room that keeps the water flowing. There is the kitchen that processes the fuel. There is the library where the records are kept. And there is the roof protecting everything from the weather. In the beginning, everything is synchronized. The workers are young, they communicate with perfect clarity. If a shingle falls from the roof, it is replaced before the rain can enter. If a pipe leaks in the basement, it is soldered before the wood can rot. This is the harmony of youth. But as the decades pass, the estate enters a new phase. It isn't a sudden collapse. It is a fragmentation. One day, the gardener in the north wing decides to retire. The hedges grow a little taller, the paths become a bit less defined. The rest of the house doesn't notice at first. The kitchen is still busy, the lights are still bright. But the north wing has begun its own private slowdown. This is how your body ages. It is not a single event, but 1,000 tiny, independent decisions. Think of your joints, your knees and your hips. They have been the shock absorbers for every step you have ever taken. They have carried the weight of your joys and the burden of your sorrows. The cartilage, that soft, blue-white padding, is like a velvet lining that has been rubbed thin by decades of movement. It doesn't break, it simply thins. It becomes a little less plush. And in that thinning, the communication between the bone and the brain changes. It becomes a conversation about caution rather than speed. While your joints are slowing down, your heart, that tireless, muscular drum, might still be beating with the rhythm of a much younger man. It is still pushing the budget through the vast network of your vessels. But the vessels themselves are becoming like old parchment. They are losing their stretch. They are becoming a bit more rigid, a bit more set in their ways. This is the fragmentation. The heart wants to run, but the vessels want to linger. As you lay there, can you feel the different ages within you? Perhaps your eyes, the lenses of your soul, began to change years ago. They lost their ability to flex, to see the world up close. They were the first to signal that the budget was tightening. And yet, your mind, your ability to reason and to love, might feel as sharp and as vast as it did 30 years ago. You are a collection of different timelines. You are a mosaic of new and old. Consider the immune system, the security guards of the estate. In the fragmented breakdown, they don't disappear. They simply become forgetful. They spend more time arguing amongst themselves or reacting to shadows than they do fighting real intruders. This is what we call inflammaging. A slow, background hum of a system that is tired and a bit confused. It is a fragmentation of purpose. But there is a profound, hidden wisdom in this breakdown. If everything failed at once, it would be a catastrophe. But because it is fragmented, the body has time to compensate. If the kidneys slow down, the skin and the breath pick up the slack. If the muscles lose their strength, the brain develops leverage and strategy. We learn to use our bodies with more intention and less waste. We move from the quantity of movement to the quality of presence. Listen to the sounds of your own internal estate. The low hum of your digestion. The soft, rhythmic wheeze of your lungs. The distant, thumping echo of your pulse. Each of these systems is running on its own clock. Each is doing the best it can with the budget it has left. They are like old friends who have worked together for so long that they no longer need to speak. They understand the plan. They know that the light is fading. And they are coordinating a graceful, quiet withdrawal. In a modern world, we are taught to fix everything. We want every room in the estate to be brand new forever. We want to replace every pipe and paint every wall every single year. But there is no soul in a house that never ages. There is no history in a machine that is always new. The fragmentation is what makes you human. The way your specific body has weathered its specific journey. The breakdown is not a sign of failure. It is the distillation of your existence. You are being refined down to the essentials. The estate is settling now. The shutters are being closed in the rooms that are no longer used. The fire is being moved to a smaller, more intimate hearth in the center of the house. It is warmer there. It is quieter. The different timelines of your body are finally beginning to converge. The joints, the heart, the lungs, the mind. They are all coming together for the same purpose. The fragmented breakdown is a slow motion dance toward the stillness. It is a beautiful, complicated, and perfectly natural unraveling. You don't need to hold the pieces together anymore. You can let them drift. You can let the estate be exactly as it is. Close your eyes and let the systems go. Let the heart beat for itself. Let the lungs breathe for themselves. Let the mind wander into the dark hallways of sleep. The house is secure. The night is here. And you are finally whole in your fragments. Stay with me in this deepening calm. We have watched the estate of the body as its systems begin their fragmented dance. But now we must speak of the heat that lingers in the walls. We must speak of a force that was once our greatest protector, but in the long autumn of life becomes a restless, silent companion. Tonight, we look at the role of inflammation, not as a disease, but as a fire that has forgotten how to go out. Let us learn how to breathe into that heat and turn the flickering flames into the soft, glowing embers of rest. Imagine a small, ancient village nestled in a valley where the winters are long and the winds are sharp. In every house, there is a hearth. For thousands of years, that fire has been the center of life. It cooked the food, it warded off the predators, and most importantly, it kept the family warm when the world outside turned to ice. This fire is your inflammation. In the biological language of your youth, inflammation is a brilliant, high-speed rescue team. When you were a child and you scraped your knee, the fire would rush to the site. It would turn the skin red and warm and swollen. This was the good fire. It was the sound of the trumpets, calling the immune system to arms to clear out the intruders and rebuild the walls. In youth, the fire burns bright, does its work, and then it goes out. But as the budget of life grows thin, the fire begins to change. It no longer waits for a wound or an infection. It becomes a low, persistent background heat. It is as if the hearth in the village has begun to smolder in the middle of the night, even when the house is quiet. This is what scientists call chronic inflammation, or, more poetically, the fire that does not sleep. As you lie there, can you feel the places in your body that carry this heat? Perhaps it is a dull ache in your lower back, or a stiffness in your fingers that feels like a rusted hinge, or a heavy, cloudy feeling in your mind. This is the immune system, your ancient security force, staying on high alert long after the danger has passed. It is a software error in the hardware of your protection. The cells, the tiny soldiers of your blood, are tired. They have spent decades fighting every cold, every stress, every toxin. And now they have lost the ability to distinguish between a real enemy and the simple, natural wear and tear of time. They treat the thinning of your cartilage as a wound. They treat the slowing of your blood as an invasion. They are trying to fix the unfixable, and in doing so, they create a persistent, weary heat. But tonight, we are not going to fight the fire. We are going to speak to it. Think of your breath as a cool, silver mist. With every inhale, imagine that mist traveling down your throat into your lungs and spreading through your entire network of vessels. See it drifting toward those places of heat. The back, the knees, the joints, the mind. Every time you exhale, you are blowing gently on the embers. Not to put them out, but to settle them. To tell the immune system, it is okay. There are no enemies tonight. The gates are locked. The village is safe. You can lay down your lanterns and rest. In a modern world, we fuel this fire without even knowing it. We fuel it with the software of stress. Every deadline, every notification, every worry about the future is like a small piece of dry wood thrown onto the hearth. Our bodies cannot tell the difference between a lion chasing us and an email we forgot to send. Both trigger the fire. But here, in the boring history of the night, there are no emails. There are no deadlines. There is only the long, slow story of life. Inflammation is the body's way of trying too hard. It is a sign of how much your biology wants you to survive. It is an act of love that has become a burden. And so we must meet it with a greater love. The love of stillness. The love of acceptance. Imagine the heat in your joints turning into light. A soft, golden, harmless light. Let it radiate away from your body into the cool air of the room. You are not inflamed. You are simply glowing from the friction of a life well lived. Think of a piece of iron that has been worked by a blacksmith for many hours. Even after the hammer is laid down and the iron is placed on the cooling rack, it stays warm for a long time. It carries the memory of the work. Your body is that iron. It is warm because it has been used. It is warm because it is significant. But the blacksmith is gone now. The shop is dark. The iron is finally cooling. The role of inflammation in the grand narrative of our decay is to remind us that we are living systems. We are not static statues. We are chemical reactions. We are thermal events. And every thermal event eventually reaches equilibrium with the night. Feel your skin cooling against the sheets. Feel the pressure behind your eyes beginning to ease. The software of your immune system is finally receiving the signal to stand down. The hardware of your cells is finally getting the chance to quiet the furnace. The village in the valley is quiet now. The hearths have all burned down to a soft, gray ash. There is just enough warmth to keep the sleepers comfortable, but not enough to keep them awake. The smoke rises in a thin, straight line toward the stars and disappears. You are becoming part of the cool, deep night. The heat of the day, the heat of the years, the heat of the struggle is all fading away. Breathe in the mist. Breathe out the embers. Let the fire sleep. Let the body be. Let the silence be your only medicine. Sink deeper now into the soft embrace of your bed. We have felt the quiet heat of the inner fire and watched the systems of the body begin their slow retreat. But now, I want you to think about the invisible architecture that holds you together. Not the bones, but the silk, the webbing, the intricate lace of your connective tissue. The tendons, the ligaments, the fascia that have been the silent weavers of every movement you have ever made. Tonight, we look at the fragility of connective tissue, a story of how the very things that give us our shape are the first to feel the weight of the passing years. Let us honor the wear and find peace in the softening. Imagine an ancient sailing ship that has crossed the Atlantic 1,000 times. The hull is strong, the wood is seasoned, but the real magic lies in the rigging. The miles and miles of rope, the heavy canvas of the sails, the intricate knots that hold the masts against the gale. In the beginning, the ropes were coiled and golden, full of stretch and oils, ready to snap back into place no matter how hard the wind blew. Your connective tissue is that rigging. It is made of collagen, the most abundant protein in your body. Think of collagen as a biological glue. When you were young, that glue was like liquid rubber. It allowed your skin to snap back, your joints to bend without a sound, and your body to absorb the shock of a jump or the suddenness of a run. It was a world of elasticity. But time is a slow, persistent dryer of things. As the budget of life shifts, the body stops producing collagen with the same frantic energy. The software of your cells begins to prioritize the vital organs over the flexibility of your limbs. Slowly, the golden ropes of the rigging begin to fray. They lose their oils. They become a little more like dry twine and a little less like silk. This is not a failure, it is the fragility that comes with a life fully lived. As you lie there, perfectly still, try to feel the vast, interconnected web beneath your skin. From the tips of your toes to the base of your skull, you are wrapped in fascia. A thin, silvery membrane that encases every muscle, every nerve, every organ. In youth, this web was like a sliding, lubricated layer of satin. But tonight, it might feel a bit more like a heavy wool blanket. A little tighter, a little more restrictive. This is the friction of history. Every time you strained a muscle, every time you sat for too long, every time you carried a heavy burden, your connective tissue recorded the event. It added a little more fiber here, a little more stiffness there, to protect you. It was trying to stabilize the ship. But now, that stability feels like a lack of freedom. The fragility of our tissues is the body's way of slowing our pace. Nature, in its quiet wisdom, knows that an old ship should not try to sail through a hurricane. By making our tissues more fragile, by making our joints stiff, the body is sending a signal to the mind. It is saying, move with intention. Walk with grace. Do not rush, for there is nowhere you need to be that requires a sprint. It is an invitation to become deliberate. Think of a piece of fine, ancient lace that has been passed down through generations. You can still see the pattern. You can still feel the strength of the weave. But you handle it differently than you would a piece of new cotton. You touch it with a certain reverence. You unfold it slowly. You appreciate the gaps and the places where the thread has grown thin. Your body is that lace. Tonight, I want you to give your connective tissue permission to let go. Imagine the rigging of the ship finally being unknotted. Feel the tension in the fascia around your rib cage simply dissolving. Imagine the ligaments in your ankles and the tendons in your wrists softening like wax near a warm candle. They have done their job. They have held the masts upright through every storm of your life. They have kept your heart in its place and your bones in their sockets. They have been the silent servants of your every ambition. And now they are weary. In the modern world, we are told to stretch, to foam roll, to fight the stiffness. We are told that fragility is an enemy to be conquered in the gym. But here, in the boring history of the night, we know better. We know that fragility is a form of honesty. It is the body admitting that it has been here for a long time. There is a profound, quiet beauty in a weathered rope. There is a story in a frayed edge. As you breathe, feel the stretch of your lungs. Even there, the connective tissue is working. Let the breath be shallow. Let it be effortless. Do not ask your tissues to do anything but exist. The ship has reached the harbor. The sails have been lowered. The rigging is no longer under tension. It is hanging loose and heavy in the moonlight. The wood of the deck is cooling in the night air. The sea is as flat as a mirror. You are held not by effort, but by the simple, quiet fact of being. The web of your body is at rest. The silent weaver has put down the needle. The pattern is complete. Feel the fragility not as a weakness, but as a lightness. You are becoming less of a machine and more of a spirit. Less of a worker and more of a witness. Sink into the lace. Trust the frayed ropes. They will hold you for as long as you need to stay. And tonight, all you need to do is drift. Stay with your breath, that slow, rhythmic companion. We have honored the webbing that holds us and the fraying of our golden ropes. But now, let us go deeper still. Into the microscopic world where the budget of life meets the reality of the day. Imagine a city under a long, quiet siege where resources are beginning to fade. The leaders must decide what to save and what to let go. Tonight, we look at cellular triage. The silent, cold logic of your cells as they choose survival over perfection. Let us listen to the wisdom of the small as they navigate the autumn of our existence. Imagine a vast, complex metropolis at 4 o'clock in the morning. Most of the lights are out, but in the heart of the city, in a small, windowless room, a group of engineers sits around a table. On the table is a map of the power grid. The city is old, and the generators are no longer producing the surplus they once did. They must make a choice. Do they keep the neon signs of the theaters burning? Or do they send that power to the hospital and the water pumps? They choose the water pumps. This is cellular triage. In the morning of your life, the city was overflowing with energy. There was enough power for everything. Your cells were like master craftsmen who had all the time in the world. If a single brick in a wall was chipped, they would replace the entire wall. If a strand of DNA had a tiny, insignificant error, they would pause everything and fix it until it was perfect. This is why youth feels like it will last forever. Because in youth, the maintenance is absolute. But as we cross the midpoint of our journey, the accountant of evolution begins to tighten the purse strings. The cells, those tireless workers, receive a new set of instructions. Focus on the essentials, the signals say. Repair the heart, keep the lungs moving, protect the brain. But the skin? The hair? The tiny details of the joints? Let them go. We no longer have the luxury of perfection. As you lie there, perfectly still, try to imagine this triage happening inside you. Every second, millions of your cells are making executive decisions. They are deciding which proteins to fold and which to leave slightly flawed. They are deciding which waste products to clear out and which to let accumulate in the corners of the city. It is not a failure of the system. It is a brilliant, desperate, and beautiful strategy for endurance. Your cells are choosing to keep you alive at the cost of your newness. They are sacrificing the aesthetic for the functional. They are letting the paint peel on the outside so that the furnace can keep burning on the inside. Think about the software of this process. It is a logic older than the mountains. Every living thing, from the smallest bacteria to the ancient redwood tree, understands the law of triage. When the drought comes, the tree lets its leaves turn brown and fall. It doesn't want to die, it wants to conserve. It pulls its lifeblood back into the trunk, back into the roots. It becomes boring, it becomes gray, but it stays alive. You are doing the same. Tonight, I want you to feel a deep gratitude for this cellular logic. Think of those errors that have accumulated, the little aches, the marks on your skin, the way your memory sometimes pauses, like a librarian looking for a misplaced book. Don't see them as aging. See them as the marks of a survivor. Each one is a record of a time when your cells chose you over the details. They said, "We will keep the heart beating, even if it means the eyes must grow dim. We will keep the mind dreaming, even if it means the legs must grow weary." You are the result of 1,000,000 successful triages. In the modern world, we are obsessed with anti-aging. We want to trick ourselves into staying in the morning forever. We want the theaters to stay lit even when the water pumps are failing. But that is a hollow, fragile way to live. There is a much deeper peace in accepting the triage, in saying to your body, "Thank you for making the hard choices. Thank you for prioritizing my breath and my thoughts over my vanity. I accept the peeling paint. I accept the dimming lights. I trust your wisdom." Feel the weight of your head against the pillow. Your brain is the most protected part of the city. Even now, as the rest of the body slows, the triage is funneling resources to your consciousness. It is keeping the inner sanctum warm and quiet. It is preparing the stage for your dreams. The triage is an act of biological minimalism. It is the art of getting rid of what is no longer necessary. As you breathe, imagine the engineers in the city finally leaning back in their chairs. The water is flowing. The hospital is quiet. The essential work is done. They are turning off the remaining lights, one by one. The city doesn't need to be brilliant tonight. It only needs to be steady. Let the software of worry dissolve into the hardware of survival. Your cells know what they are doing. They have been doing this for 4 billion years. They don't need your help. They don't need your anxiety. They only need your permission to rest. The ledger is closed for the night. The priorities have been set. The city is dark and the gates are shut. The only thing left is the slow, rhythmic ticking of the heart. Sink into the triage. Trust the errors. Embrace the conservation. You are being held together by a wisdom that is much older than your name. Sleep now. In the quiet, efficient, and perfect darkness. Stay here in this soft, unfolding darkness. We have passed the midway point of our journey, watching the cellular engineers make their quiet choices. But now, we move from the physical to the ethereal. We look at a weight that cannot be measured in pounds or seen under a microscope. The weight of everything you have ever seen, felt, or survived. Tonight, we talk about the burden of memory. How we are the only creatures who carry the past like a heavy velvet cloak, and how, in the stillness of the night, we can finally lay that cloak down. Imagine a traveler walking along a dusty road at twilight. On their back is a leather satchel. Every time the traveler sees something beautiful, a smooth stone from a river, a fallen leaf, a seashell, they pick it up and put it in the bag. But they also pick up the heavy things, the jagged rocks of regret, the cold iron of old sorrows, the dry sand of forgotten conversations. After many miles and many years, the bag is no longer just a collection. It is a burden. It changes the way the traveler walks. It bends their shoulders. It slows their pace. This is the human condition. We are the collectors of time. In the animal world, memory is a tool for survival. A bird remembers where the seeds are hidden. A wolf remembers the scent of danger. But once the hunger is satisfied, or the danger has passed, the memory retreats. It does not linger to become a story. The animal lives in the eternal now. It does not carry the burden of what used to be. But we, because of our magnificent, expensive brains, we have turned memory into a museum. As you lie there, can you feel the ghosts of your past living in your muscles? Scientists are beginning to understand that memory is not just in the mind. It is in the hardware. It is in the way your shoulders hunch, remembering a time you had to be strong. It is in the way your heart skips at a sound that reminds you of a long-ago door closing. We carry the narrative of our entire lives, etched into our very cells. This is the biological weight of being human. Think of a computer hard drive that has been running for decades. It is full of files. Some are useful, but many are fragments, old programs that no longer run, photos of people who are gone, documents that no longer matter. The drive is heavy, not with physical weight, but with information. It takes longer to find anything. The fan hums louder, trying to cool the heat of all that data. Your mind, right now, might be humming with that same heat. But listen to the night. The night doesn't care about your history. The darkness doesn't ask you to justify your past. The shadows don't require you to be the person you were 10 years ago, or even 10 hours ago. In this boring history, the past is just a series of chemical signals that are finally fading. I want you to imagine opening that leather satchel. One by one, we are going to take out the stones. Take out the stone of last year. It is heavy and cold. Feel the relief in your lower back as you set it on the ground. Take out the stone of what if. That jagged rock that has been scratching against your ribs. Let it go. Hear it thud softly into the dust of the road. Take out the beautiful things, too. The golden leaves of old joys. You don't need to carry them anymore to know they were real. They belong to the road, not to your shoulders. The burden of memory is what makes us feel old, even when our bodies are still strong. It is the mental friction of comparing the now to the then. When you look in the mirror, you don't just see your face. You see the software of your memories overlaid on the hardware of your skin. You see the person who failed, the person who succeeded, the person who was hurt. But the cells, the actual, living cells of your face, they are new. They are not the same cells that cried 10 years ago. They are fresh, they are innocent. It is only your memory that tells them they should be weary. Tonight, we are giving the cells permission to forget. Imagine a light snow beginning to fall inside your mind. A soft, white, silent blanket. It is covering the museum. It is blurring the edges of the statues. It is silencing the echoes in the hallways. The files on the hard drive are being archived into a deep, dark vault where they can sleep undisturbed. You are becoming unburdened. Feel the lightness in your chest. Without the weight of the past, your breath can move more freely. It doesn't have to push against the heavy velvet cloak. It can just be. We are the only creatures who can consciously choose to let go of our history. We can say, I am not my memories. I am the one who is experiencing this moment right now. And right now, this moment is perfectly still. The traveler has reached the end of the day's journey. The bag is empty. The road is behind them. The stars are above. There is no before, and there is no after. There is only the cool air and the heavy, sweet gravity of the bed. The burden has been laid down. The marrow of your bones is finally quiet. The echoes have stopped. The story of your life has paused between chapters. And in this pause, there is total, absolute peace. Sink into the emptiness. Trust the silence. Forget the names, the dates, the faces, and the regrets. You are not a traveler tonight. You are the road. You are the night. You are the sleep itself. The cloak is gone. The shoulders are light. The mind is a vast, white, empty field. Sleep now. Unburdened. Unknown. And free. Sink deeper into the quiet gravity of your rest. We have laid down the heavy cloak of memory and found the white, empty field of the mind. But now we must look at the fire itself. The very engine that keeps you warm and allows your heart to beat. We are creatures of light and heat, but that heat comes with a hidden cost. Tonight, we talk about the high metabolism debt. The biological price we pay for our speed, and how, in this moment, we can finally begin to settle the account. Stay with me as we listen to the cooling of the gears. Imagine a magnificent, high-speed train racing across a continent. It is a marvel of engineering. It moves faster than the wind, its lights cutting through the darkest nights, its engines humming with a power that feels infinite. But if you were to step into the engine room, you would see the reality of that speed. The intense heat, the friction, the wear on the steel, and the vast amount of fuel consumed every second. That train is the human metabolism. We are endotherms. We create our own heat. Unlike the lizard that must wait for the sun to warm its blood, we carry our own sun inside us. This allows us to live anywhere, to think quickly, to move in the dead of winter. It is our greatest strength. But it is also our high metabolism debt. Think of your cells as tiny furnaces. To keep your body at exactly 98.6 degrees, they are constantly burning fuel. And just like a real fire, this biological burning produces smoke. In the language of science, we call these free radicals. Tiny, unstable molecules that act like sparks, flying out of the furnace. In your youth, your body was a master at catching these sparks. It had an endless supply of antioxidants, like a specialized fire brigade, that neutralized every spark before it could burn the curtains or char the floorboards. You burned bright and you burned clean. But the debt is cumulative. As the decades pass, the sparks begin to outnumber the fire brigade. A tiny bit of damage here, a small scar on a cell membrane there. This is the oxidative stress. The slow, invisible rusting of the hardware caused by the very energy that keeps us alive. We are, in a literal sense, being consumed by our own vitality. As you lie there, perfectly still, try to feel the RPM of your life. For years, you have been running at high speed. Drinking caffeine, chasing deadlines, processing complex emotions, moving through loud streets. Every one of those moments increased your metabolism. Every one of those moments added a tiny bit more to the debt. But tonight, the train has pulled into the station. The engines are being throttled down. Listen to your breath. It is slowing. It is becoming cooler. Every time you slow your breathing, you are lowering the temperature of your biological furnace. You are giving your fire brigade a chance to catch up. You are telling your cells, the race is over. We don't need the high heat tonight. We only need the pilot light. In the animal kingdom, there is a fascinating rule. Most mammals, regardless of their size, have a similar number of lifetime heartbeats. About 1.5 billion. The tiny shrew, with its frantic metabolism, uses its heartbeats in a year or two. The great whale, with its slow, deep, rhythmic pulse, stretches those heartbeats over a century. Humans have used their intelligence to hack this rule. We live longer than our metabolism should allow. But we still feel the pressure of the debt. We feel it as fatigue. We feel it as the heavy feeling in our limbs at the end of a long day. This is not just muscle tiredness. It is the debt calling for payment. And the only currency it accepts is stillness. Imagine your metabolism as a glowing orange orb in the center of your chest. In the day, it was bright, almost white, vibrating with energy. But now, watch it change. The vibration is slowing. The color is shifting from bright orange to a deep, resonant ruby red. It is becoming a soft glow. The heat is receding from your hands and your feet. It is moving toward your core where it can be managed with the least amount of smoke. In the modern world, we are told to boost our metabolism. We are told that fast is better. But in the boring history of the night, we know the truth. Longevity and peace are found in the slow. They are found in the moments when we stop burning and start existing. Think of a piece of wood that has been burning in a fireplace all night. The flames are gone now. There is only the charcoal, glowing with a deep, internal heat. It is much hotter and much steadier than the flickering flames ever were. It doesn't snap, it doesn't pop, it doesn't throw sparks. It simply glows. You are becoming that glow. The high metabolism debt is being settled in the silence. Your body is using this time to clean the furnaces, to repair the floorboards, to sweep away the ash of the day's thoughts. It is an effortless, quiet restoration. The train is quiet now. The steel is cooling with a faint, metallic ting as it settles. The steam is rising into the cold night air and vanishing. The passengers have all gone home. The station is empty. There is only the moon and the long, silver tracks stretching into the distance. You don't need to be fast anymore. You don't need to be productive. You don't need to burn. Feel the cooling. Feel the stillness. Feel the magnificent, ancient relief of a metabolism at rest. The debt is paid. The account is clear. And the night is yours. Sink into the ruby glow. Trust the slow pulse. Breathe in the cool air and breathe out the last of the heat. You are safe. You are still. You are finally home. Stay here in this gentle, cooling glow. We have settled the debts of our metabolism and felt the fire of our youth turn into the steady embers of the night. But now we must ask the final question of the why. Why does nature, so careful with its budget, allow us to remain long after our physical strength has faded? Tonight, we talk about social continuity, the hidden reason for our long lives. We are not just biological machines, we are the bridges between the past and the future. We are the keepers of the stories, the holders of the map. Stay with me as we discover that your presence here is the very thing that keeps the human world together. Imagine a vast, dark forest thousands of years ago. In the center of the forest, there is a small clearing, and in that clearing, there is a fire. Around the fire sits a tribe. The young hunters are there, their muscles still humming with the tension of the day. The children are there, their eyes wide with the mystery of the dark. But the most important person is the one sitting closest to the flame. The one with the silver in their hair and the deep lines on their face. In the animal world, age is often a lonely thing. Once a creature can no longer hunt or protect itself, it fades away. But humans, we broke that rule. We discovered that a grandmother who remembers which roots are medicine during a drought is more valuable than 10 strong hunters. We discovered that a grandfather who knows the patterns of the stars and the stories of the ancestors is the glue that holds the tribe's identity together. This is social continuity. The evolutionary decision to trade our individual strength for a collective wisdom. As you lie there, perfectly still, I want you to feel the weight of your own history. You are not just a collection of cells. You are a library. Every experience you have had, every mistake you have made, every love you have lost, and every joy you have found is a book on a shelf inside you. You are the living record of a journey that no one else has ever taken. Evolution allowed you to age so that you could become a witness. Think about the software of culture. It cannot be written in DNA. You cannot pass down the knowledge of how to be kind, or how to forgive, or how to endure a long winter through a gene. It must be told. It must be demonstrated. It must be shared through the slow, rhythmic cadence of a voice, just like this one. You are the continuity. You are the reason the world doesn't have to start from scratch every 40 years. But this role, this heavy responsibility, requires a different kind of energy. It requires you to slow down. You cannot be a keeper of stories if you are always running. You cannot be a bridge if you are always building your own walls. Your aging is a biological signal that it is time to move from doing to being. As you feel the heaviness of your limbs sinking into the bed, don't see it as a loss. See it as a settling. Like the dust settling in a room after a long day of work. Only when the dust settles can you see the light clearly. Only when you are still can you truly see the world. In the modern world, we have forgotten the value of the elder. We treat aging as a private problem rather than a public treasure. We tell people to stay young, as if youth were the only season worth having. But that is like telling a forest to stay in the spring forever. A forest without the wisdom of the old growth is a forest that cannot survive a storm. Tonight, I want you to reclaim your place in the clearing. You don't need to do anything to fulfill your purpose. Your existence is the continuity. The fact that you have endured, the fact that you have carried your story this far, is a victory. Even in the silence of this room, you are a beacon. Your calm is a gift to the world. Your rest is an act of restoration for the entire human family. Imagine a long, golden thread coming out of your heart. It stretches back through the centuries to that first fire in the forest. And it stretches forward to people you will never meet, but who will be different because you were here. You are a link in an unbroken chain of human consciousness. The social continuity is the reason your mind remains vast even when your body feels small. Because your mind is not just yours. It is the tribe's. It is the world's. Think of an old bridge made of stone. It doesn't move. It doesn't grow. It doesn't scream for attention. It simply stays. It allows others to cross. It bears the weight of the world with a quiet, unwavering dignity. You are that bridge. The night is long and the forest is vast. But the clearing is safe. The fire is steady. And the tribe is sleeping because they know that you are here. They know that the memory is safe in your keeping. You have done your work today. You have been the witness. You have been the continuity. Now it is time for the keeper of the stories to sleep. Let the golden thread go slack. Let the library doors be locked for the night. The books are safe. The knowledge is secure. You don't need to remember anything tonight. You only need to be. Sink into the continuity. Trust the chain. Feel the warmth of the millions of ancestors who stood where you are standing and who are watching you now with a deep, resonant love. Sleep now, keeper of the flame. The story will be here when you wake. Stay with me in this hollow, silver silence. We have honored your role as the keeper of stories, the bridge between the then and the now. But tonight, we must address the strangest mystery of all. Have you ever noticed that while the face in the mirror changes, the you who is looking out feels exactly the same as it did when you were 10 or 20? Tonight, we talk about the ghost in the machine, the ageless observer who lives inside a vessel that grows old while the observer remains untouched by time. Let us explore this quiet paradox as we drift toward the center of our being. Imagine a lighthouse built on a rugged, storm-swept coast. For 80 years, the salt air has bitten into its stones. The iron railings have rusted, the paint has peeled, and the spiral staircase now groans under every footstep. From the outside, the lighthouse is a ruin of time. But the light at the very top, is as pure, as bright, and as constant as the day it was first lit. The light does not age. It does not wrinkle. It simply shines. This is the ghost in your machine. Your hardware, the machine of your body, is governed by the laws of biology. It follows the budget, it pays the taxes of metabolism, it feels the fragility of its tissues. But your consciousness, the ghost, seems to operate on a different frequency. As you lie there, perfectly still, try to find that self. Not the self that has a job, or a name, or a list of regrets, but the silent witness who has been watching your life from the very beginning. If you close your eyes, can you feel the difference between your age and your awareness? Awareness has no birthday. It doesn't have a calendar. When you dream tonight, you might be running through a field as a child or flying over a city as a shadow. In the world of the ghost, there is no gray hair. There is no stiff knee. There is only the eternal present. This mismatch is both a burden and a beautiful gift. It is a burden because it can feel like a trick. The mind wants to sprint while the body wants to sit. The spirit wants to dance while the hardware is calling for repair. We feel like a young soul trapped in an old house. But it is a gift because it reminds us that we are not just our bodies. We are the inhabitant of the vessel, not the vessel itself. Think of a musician playing a violin that has been in use for 100 years. The wood is dark, the varnish is worn, and perhaps the strings don't stay in tune as easily as they once did. But the music, the soul of the musician, is not limited by the wood. The musician can still play a song that is full of passion and life and fire. The violin is the machine. You are the musician. Tonight, I want you to give the machine permission to be old. Let it be tired. Let it be heavy. It has carried you through the rain and the sun for thousands of days. It has been a faithful servant. But you, the ghost, you don't have to carry that weight tonight. You can step out of the machinery. Imagine the ghost as a soft, blue vapor rising slowly from the center of your chest. It is weightless. It is cool. It is drifting just a few inches above the bed. It is watching the body with a deep, compassionate love. It sees the wear, it sees the scars, and it says, "Thank you. You can rest now. I will watch the night for us." In the modern world, we are told that when the machine fades, the person fades. We are taught to identify so strongly with our reflection that we forget the one who is doing the reflecting. But in the boring history of the night, we remember. We remember that we are the observer. This is why we can find peace in aging. Because the more the machine slows down, the more the ghost can become clear. As the noise of the physical world fades, the quiet, steady, ageless hum of our consciousness becomes the only thing we hear. It is the sound of the lighthouse in the dark. Think of a pilot who has flown the same plane for 40 years. He knows every rattle, every quirk of the engine. He loves the plane. But when the flight is over and the sun is setting, he doesn't stay in the cockpit. He steps out onto the solid earth. He leaves the machine to the mechanics of the night. Tonight, You are stepping out. Feel the lightness of your spirit. It is not bound by the cellular triage. It is not concerned with metabolism. It is just awareness. Pure, simple, and silent. As the body sinks, the ghost rises. Not away from you, but into a deeper part of the universe. The ghost in the machine is the part of you that can never be boring. It is the part that is always curious, always awake, and yet always at peace. It is the part of you that is already home. The machinery is cooling. The gears have stopped their turning. The valves are closed. The heavy iron of the body is settling into the earth. But the light in the tower is still shining. Softly, steadily. It is casting its beam over the vast, dark ocean of sleep. And the ocean is waiting. Let the machine go. Be the ghost. Be the light. Be the silent witness of your own perfect rest. Now, drift even further into the velvet folds of the night. We have watched the ghost step away from the machine and seen the ageless observer in the tower. But beneath the surface, in the silent dark of your tissues, a different kind of life is beginning. While your mind wanders into dreams, your body does not truly sleep. It enters a state of sacred maintenance. Tonight, we look at the sleep of cells. The quiet, microscopic work that happens only when the world is still. Let us listen to the sound of 1,000,000,000,000 tiny hands repairing the cathedral of your life while you simply disappear. Imagine a grand museum after the visitors have all gone home. The heavy oak doors are locked, the lights are dimmed, and the echoes of the day's footsteps have finally faded. In the silence, a quiet army of restorers emerge from the shadows. They carry soft cloths, fine brushes, and small jars of oil. They move from painting to painting, from statue to statue, cleaning away the dust, mending the tiny cracks, ensuring that the beauty of the collection remains for another day. This is what is happening inside you right now. In the software of your waking hours, your cells are focused on action. They are busy processing light, sound, movement, and thought. They are so preoccupied with the doing that they have no time for the mending. But when the sun sets and the brain sends the signal of sleep, the entire priority of your biology shifts. The sleep of cells is the only time the budget is spent purely on restoration. Think of your DNA, that winding staircase of instructions. During the day, the heat of your metabolism and the friction of the world create small breaks in the stairs. A step cracks, a railing loosens. If these were left unfixed, the staircase would eventually become impassable. But tonight, specialized enzymes, the molecular librarians, are walking those stairs. They are scanning every line, every code, fixing the errors, and sealing the gaps with a precision that no human hand could ever achieve. As you lie there, perfectly still, try to imagine this invisible labor. Your brain, in this moment, is undergoing a cleaning of the tides. There is a system, the glymphatic system, that only truly opens when you are in deep sleep. It is like a gentle, rhythmic flood of clear fluid washing through the crevices of your mind. It is rinsing away the metabolic waste, the proteins that clutter your thoughts, the exhaust of your intelligence. It is a biological bath for your soul. Every breath you take is the rhythm of this cleaning. In the modern world, we often treat sleep as a pause in our productivity. We think of it as lost time. But in the boring history of our bodies, sleep is the most productive time of all. It is the only time the hardware can actually heal. Without the sleep of cells, the architecture of your life would crumble in a matter of weeks. Think of the software of your immune system. Tonight, it is not out on patrol, fighting ghosts. It is back at the barracks, training. It is creating memories of the enemies it faced today, so it can be smarter tomorrow. It is building its strength in the quiet, so that you don't have to worry when the sun rises. The cells of your heart, the cells of your lungs, the cells of your skin, they are all taking advantage of this stillness. They are breathing in a different way. They are not rushing to meet a demand. They are simply replenishing. Imagine your body as a landscape covered in thousands of tiny, glowing lights. Each light is a cell. As you drift deeper into sleep, the lights are changing. They are moving from a frantic, flickering yellow to a steady, pulsing, deep indigo. The color of healing. The color of the deep ocean. The sleep of cells is a form of deep, ancient patience. It is the body's way of saying, the world can wait. The worries can wait. The ambitions can wait. Right now, the only thing that matters is the integrity of this vessel. You are being remade in the dark. When you wake up tomorrow, you will literally be a different person than the one who lay down tonight. You will have new proteins, repaired DNA, and a brain that has been rinsed clean by the tides of the night. You are a work in progress, and the night is the master artist. As the weight of sleep begins to pull at your consciousness, let go of the need to watch over yourself. You don't need to supervise the repair crew. They know the blueprints better than you do. They have been mending life since the first single-celled organism drifted in the primeval sea. Trust the hardware of your recovery. The restorers in the museum are moving quietly now. They are finishing their work. The dust is gone. The oil has been applied. The statues are gleaming in the faint moonlight that filters through the high windows. The city of your cells is peaceful. The flood of the glymphatic tide is slow and rhythmic. The librarians of the DNA have closed their books and are heading to rest. Everything is in its place. The vessel is secure. The budget is balanced. And the restoration is complete. Sink into the indigo pulse. Let the repair happen in the silence. You are being cared for by a trillion tiny hands. You are safe. You are loved. And you are, finally, deeply asleep. Drift now into the deep, echoing stillness of the night. We have watched the sleep of cells and felt the microscopic repair crews mending the cathedral of our existence. But tonight, we must reflect on the very strength that brought us this far. Our adaptability. The incredible power of the human body to bend, to shift, and to survive in any condition. But this gift is a double-edged sword. The same resilience that allows us to endure also hides the wear until the very end. Tonight, we look at the quiet cost of being too strong. Let us listen to the body's silence and learn to honor the limits we so often ignore. Imagine a bridge made of ancient, weathered stone, crossing a restless river in the mountains. Every day, for 100 years, heavy carts, horses, and travelers have crossed this bridge. It has endured winter storms that froze its mortar, and summer floods that battered its pillars. The bridge is a master of adaptability. It doesn't break when the weight is heavy, it settles. It doesn't crack in the cold, it contracts. It adapts to every burden, but every adaptation leaves an invisible trace in the heart of the stone. That bridge is your resilience. The human body is perhaps the most adaptable machine in the known universe. If you move to the high mountains, where the air is thin and cold, your blood will change. It will produce more oxygen-carrying cells to keep you moving. If you spend your life in a world of physical labor, your bones will actually grow denser and thicker to support the weight. We are biological chameleons. In your youth, this adaptability felt like invincibility. You could skip sleep, eat poorly, or push through exhaustion, and the next morning, the hardware would simply reset. The body would adapt to your demands, finding a way to make it work by borrowing from its future budget. But this is where the second edge of the sword begins to cut. Because we are so good at adapting, we are also very good at masking. When one system in your body begins to tire, another system quietly, and without complaint, picks up the load. If your liver is stressed, your kidneys work harder. If your heart is weary, your vessels tighten to keep the pressure steady. If your right knee is stiff, your left hip subtly changes its angle to carry you forward. It is a grand, silent cooperation. But it means that you often do not feel the decay until it has reached a critical mass. We are the great compensators. As you lie there, perfectly still, can you feel the places where your body has adjusted for you? Feel the subtle tilt of your shoulders, or the way your back has curved to protect a hidden tension. These are the scars of your adaptability. They are the marks of a body that refused to let you down even when it was tired. This is why aging can feel so sudden. People often say, "I felt young until I turned 50, and then everything happened at once." But it didn't happen at once. The software of your resilience was simply running out of systems to borrow from. The bridge didn't suddenly grow old, it simply stopped settling. Tonight, I want you to give your body permission to stop compensating. In the modern world, we celebrate the hustle. We admire the person who pushes through the pain and adapts to the stress. We treat our adaptability as an infinite resource. But in the boring history of the night, we know that every adaptation is a withdrawal from the biological ledger. Every time we push through, we are asking a system to do a job it wasn't designed for. Think of the software of your nervous system. For years, it has adapted to the noise of the city, the glare of the screens, and the constant demands of social interaction. It has tuned out the chaos to keep you sane. But that tuning out takes energy. It creates a state of background tension that never truly goes away. But tonight, the river is calm. The carts have stopped crossing the bridge. There is no more need to adapt. Imagine your body as a collection of weary workers who have been covering for each other for a very long time. The heart says to the lungs, "You can slow down now. I have the rhythm." The muscles say to the joints, "You can soften now. I am letting go of the tension." The mind says to the senses, "You can turn off the monitors. The world is safe." Allow the double-edged sword to be laid down on the stone floor of the temple. You don't need to be strong tonight. You don't need to be resilient. You don't need to adapt to anything except the darkness and the silence. Feel the relief of total, absolute non-compensation. If your back feels heavy, let it be heavy. If your thoughts feel slow, let them be slow. If your heart feels a little lonely, let it feel lonely. This is the honesty of the body that only comes when the armor of adaptability is removed. The bridge in the mountains is finally just stone and mortar. It doesn't have to support the world tonight. It only has to support itself. The water of the river is flowing softly around its pillars, whispering a song of ancient, patient endurance. The second edge of the sword is finally blunted. The debt of resilience is being forgiven. The systems of the body are returning to their own natural, effortless centers. You are not a machine of limitless potential tonight. You are a biological being with limits. And those limits are beautiful. They are the boundaries of your peace. Sink into the non-effort. Trust the stillness. Let the body be exactly as it is. Tired, worn, adaptable no more, but at last completely at rest. Stay here in this quiet, shadowless space. We have laid down the heavy sword of resilience and felt the relief of no longer needing to adapt. But now we must face the most subtle weight of all. The way the world looks at us and the way we look at ourselves through the eyes of others. Tonight, we talk about the social mirror. How society has created a reflection of age that is often a distortion of the truth. We are more than the numbers on a birth certificate and far more than the roles we play in public. Let us look past the glass and find the person who exists when no one is watching. Imagine walking through a great, bustling carnival late at night. Everywhere you turn, there are mirrors. Some make you look tall and thin, others make you look short and wide. Some are cracked, reflecting a fragmented version of your face. These mirrors are the eyes of society. They are the cultural stories, the advertisements, the expectations, and the judgments that are constantly reflecting back to us who they think we are. In the morning of our lives, the social mirror reflects an image of potential. The world looks at us and sees a worker, a lover, a builder, a producer. We are measured by our software of ambition and our hardware of vitality. And for a long time, we believe that reflection is the whole truth. But as the decades pass, the mirror begins to change its tone. Society, that frantic and shallow observer, starts to reflect an image of diminishment. It looks at the silver in our hair and the slowness of our step, and it begins to look away. It moves its gaze to the next generation, to the new, to the bright. In the social mirror, aging is often portrayed as a slow retreat from the center of the world to the edges. As you lie there, perfectly still, try to feel the weight of this reflection. Have you ever felt the pressure to stay young? To hide the marks of time as if they were secrets to be ashamed of? This is the friction of the social mirror. It is the software of cultural vanity trying to override the hardware of natural completion. It creates a state of internal conflict where we feel we must apologize for the simple act of existing through time. But tonight, we are going to break the mirror. I want you to imagine stepping away from the carnival. walking out of the noise, the neon lights, and the distorted glass. You are walking into a deep, dark, silent forest. Here, there are no mirrors. The trees do not care how old you are. The wind does not judge the wrinkles around your eyes. The stars, who have watched civilizations rise and fall, see you only as a fellow traveler, made of the same ancient dust as they are. In the silence of the forest, you are not a senior. You are not a retiree. You are not old. You are simply life. Feel the relief of being invisible to the world. Without the social mirror, you don't have to perform your age. You don't have to be wise if you don't feel wise. You don't have to be productive if you are tired. You are finally allowed to be a mystery even to yourself. The social mirror is a software error that values the wrapper more than the gift. Think of an ancient, handwritten manuscript. The leather cover might be worn, the edges might be charred, and the gold leaf might have flaked away centuries ago. A shallow observer, looking in the mirror of the marketplace, might call it damaged. But the scholar, the one who knows the value of truth, knows that the aging of the cover is proof of the wisdom inside. The wear is the authenticity. You are that manuscript. Tonight, let the public version of yourself simply fade away. The person who has to answer questions, the person who has to maintain a reputation, the person who is defined by their past achievements. Let that person stay in the carnival. Here, in the boring history of the night, you are returning to the original ghost. The one we spoke of, the ageless observer. The one who exists before the world gives you a label. Breathe in the cool air of the mirrorless forest. With every exhale, release a social expectation. Release the need to be useful. Release the fear of being forgotten. Release the software of comparison. You are not behind in life. You are not fading. You are exactly where the universe needs you to be. At the perfect, rhythmic point of your own evolution. Imagine the social mirror as a thin, brittle sheet of ice over a deep, dark pond. Tonight, the ice is melting. The reflections are dissolving into the water. And you are sinking beneath the surface. Into the deep, where it is quiet. Where there is no light, and therefore no reflection. In the deep, you are just a pulse. A warmth. A consciousness. The carnival is miles away now. The mirrors are small and meaningless, like distant toys. The noise of the crowd is nothing more than a faint hum in the back of your mind. You are safe in your invisibility. You are whole in your solitude. The only eyes that matter tonight are your own, and they are closed, looking inward at a world that never grows old. Sink into the pond. Let the reflection go. Be the water. Be the dark. Be the beautiful, hidden truth. Stay with the stillness and the deep, mirrorless peace we have found. We have looked past the social glass and seen the ageless observer. But now, we must witness a change in the movement of your life. For decades, your energy was directed outward, like a river rushing toward the sea, trying to fill every valley and touch every shore. But tonight, we explore the art of conservation. The moment in the long story where the river slows and begins to pull its water back toward the quiet center. let us learn the beauty of doing less and the profound power of simply being enough. Imagine an old, stone farmhouse standing alone on a hill as winter begins to settle over the land. In the summer, the windows were wide open. The doors were flung back, children ran in and out, and the air was filled with the sounds of work and laughter. The house was expansive, its energy reaching out to the fields and the gardens. But now, the first frost has arrived. The farmer doesn't fight the cold by opening more doors. Instead, he practices the art of conservation. He closes the heavy wooden shutters. He pulls the rugs tight against the thresholds. He moves the life of the house away from the cold exterior walls and toward the hearth in the very center of the home. The house is not shrinking. It is consolidating. It is focusing its warmth where it matters most. This is the season of life you are in. In your youth, your software was programmed for expansion. You wanted more, you did more, you went further. Your biological budget was spent on the outward. But as the ledger of time grows shorter, the hardware begins a magnificent, quiet shift. It begins to prioritize depth over breadth. It is a move from the quantity of experience to the quality of presence. As you lie there, perfectly still, try to feel this consolidation happening inside you. Feel the energy receding from the frantic edges of your world. You no longer need to be everywhere. You no longer need to know everything. You are pulling your spirit back from the 1,000 outward distractions and bringing it home to the center of your chest. This is not a loss of life. It is the distillation of life. Think of a fine wine that has been aging in a dark cellar for 40 years. It has lost its initial, aggressive, sharp sweetness. Much of the liquid has evaporated through the wood of the barrel. But what remains is something the young wine could never understand. It is complex. It is rich. It is a concentrated essence of the sun, the soil, and the time that created it. You are being distilled. The art of conservation is the body's way of protecting what is sacred. By slowing your metabolism, by thinning your budget, by making your movements more deliberate, nature is forcing you to be choiceful. It is saying, do not waste your light on things that do not matter. Save it for the memories that warm you. Save it for the people you love. Save it for the quiet wonder of this very breath. It is a software update for the soul. In the modern world, conservation is often seen as a sign of weakness. We are told to keep up, to stay busy, to fight the slowdown. But that is like telling the farmer to leave his doors open in a blizzard. It is a waste of a precious, finite gift. True wisdom is knowing when to close the shutters. As you breathe, feel the conservation in your lungs. You don't need a huge, gasping breath. A tiny, shallow, effortless movement is enough. Your heart doesn't need to race. A slow, steady, patient beat is enough. You are learning the economy of peace. Imagine your life as a great, glowing sphere of light. In the past, that light was stretched thin, trying to illuminate a whole city. But tonight, watch as the sphere begins to shrink. It is becoming smaller, but it is becoming much, much brighter. It is turning from a pale, diffused yellow into a brilliant, dense, white diamond of light. It is no longer a light for others to see. It is a light for you to see by. The art of conservation is the ultimate form of freedom. Because when you no longer need to expand, you can no longer be defeated. When you no longer seek the more, you are finally satisfied with the is. You are becoming self-contained. An island of stillness in a sea of motion. The farmhouse on the hill is quiet now. The shutters are bolted. The fire in the center is burning with a steady blue and gold flame. There is no wind inside. There is no cold. There is only the concentrated warmth of a life that has learned how to keep itself. The consolidation is complete. The outward journey has ended. The inward journey has begun. And it is a journey that requires no footsteps. Feel the density of your own presence. You are not fading away. You are gathering yourself in. You are becoming a single, perfect point of awareness. Let the world be wide. Let the world be loud. You are the hearth. You are the center. You are the conservation of everything that is beautiful and true. Close the last door. Bolt the last shutter. Turn toward the flame. And let the rest of the universe simply go. Stay here in the concentrated light of your own center. We have learned the art of conservation, pulling our energy back from the world like a retreating tide. But now, we must look at the clock and the curious gift we have been given. In the wild, life is a short, sharp spark. But we, through our medicine, our walls, and our shared wisdom, have extended the evening. Tonight, we talk about the borrowed time. These extra decades, these quiet hours, that were never part of the original biological blueprint. Let us learn to treat this time not as a burden, but as a rare, beautiful, and borrowed grace. Imagine you are a traveler who has been staying at a beautiful, ancient inn. The sun has set, the candles have burned low, and the innkeeper has told you that the day is over. But then, with a quiet smile, he brings you one more glass of wine. He stokes the fire and tells you that you may stay for a few more hours. The room is warm, the shadows are soft, and because this time is a gift, it feels more precious than all the hours of the day that came before it. This is the reality of the modern human life. For millions of years, our hardware was only designed to last long enough to see the next generation reach maturity. 40 years, perhaps 50. That was the warranty. That was the natural limit. But we have used our software, our collective intelligence, to hack the system. We have extended the lease. We are living in a period of history that evolution never planned for. We are living on borrowed time. As you lie there, perfectly still, feel the strange beauty of this after-hours existence. Every breath you take in your later years is a breath that nature, in its cold, original math, didn't think you would have. Every sunset you watch, every slow conversation you hold, every quiet night like this one, is a bonus. It is a surplus of existence. And when something is a gift, the way we experience it changes. Think about the pressure of your youth. You felt you had to achieve. You felt you had to become. That was the pressure of the original contract. But on borrowed time, the pressure is gone. You have already done the work. You have already lived the main story. These extra years are the epilogue. And in the epilogue, you don't have to build anything. You only have to appreciate. It is a move from ownership to stewardship. You don't own these years, you are simply tending them. Like a gardener who has been given an extra hour of light before the true dark falls. You don't rush to plant a new forest. You simply smell the roses. You pull a few weeds. You watch the birds return to their nests. The borrowed time is the most honest time of your life. Because you know it is finite, you stop wasting it on the trivial. You stop arguing with the shadows. You stop trying to convince the world of your value. You know that the value is in the being. The value is in the staying. As you feel the weight of your body sinking deeper into the sheets, try to feel the gratitude of the borrowed. Gratitude is the most powerful software for rest. It is the opposite of anxiety. Anxiety is a fear of the future, but gratitude is a deep, resonant love for the present. Think of the hardware of your heart. It has been beating for decades, far past its original expectations. It is tired, yes. It is worn, yes. But it is also a miracle of persistence. It is still here, pushing the blood of the ancestors through the vessels of the modern world. It is a clock that refuses to stop as long as there is a story to tell. In the modern world, we often complain about the problems of aging. The aches, the slowness, the fading memory. But in the boring history of the night, we see these things differently. They are not problems. They are the rental fees for the extra time. Would you trade the extra years to be free of the aches? Or would you accept the stiffness as the price for one more evening of watching the moon? The answer is in your breath. Imagine your life as a great symphonic work of music. The main movements have been played. The grand crescendos are over. But the composer has added a coda, a slow, quiet, lingering series of notes that tie all the themes together. It is the most beautiful part of the piece because it is where the silence begins to enter the music. You are in the coda. The borrowed time is where we find the truth. Without the distractions of the ego and the demands of the outward, we can finally see the world as it truly is. A place of immense, fragile, and temporary beauty. The traveler at the inn is not looking at his watch. He is looking at the way the light reflects in his glass. He is listening to the crackle of the wood. He is savoring the silence. He knows he cannot stay forever. And that knowledge makes the now perfect. The extra glass of wine is finished. The fire has turned to a deep, dark red. The innkeeper has gone to bed, leaving you in the quiet warmth of the hall. There is no one to impress. There is nowhere to go. You have used the gift well. You have honored the borrowed time with your presence. And now, the time and the traveler are becoming one. Let the gratitude wash over you like a warm, slow tide. Let it soften the hardware. Let it quiet the software. You are living on grace. You are breathing in a miracle. And you are finally ready to let the day go. The epilogue is closing. The last note of the coda is fading into the air. The borrowed time has become eternal peace. Sleep now. in the luxury of the bonus, in the safety of the gift, in the perfect, borrowed night. Stay here in the perfect, borrowed grace of the night. We have traveled through the ledgers of life, the trade-offs of evolution, and the silent labor of our cells. We have looked into the social mirror and stepped away from the carnival. But now, we have reached the edge of the map, the place where the story and the silence become one. Tonight, we reach the quiet acceptance, the final, beautiful understanding that aging is not a betrayal of the self, but the fulfillment of a destiny. Let the last of the world fall away as we find the peace that has been waiting for us since the very beginning. Imagine a vast, calm lake at the very top of a mountain. The water is so still, it looks like a sheet of dark glass. There is no wind. There is no ripple. The lake is not ending, it is simply full. It has gathered the rain, the snow, and the mountain streams for a lifetime, and now it has reached its capacity. It is perfectly, absolutely complete. This is the quiet acceptance. For 2 hours, we have narrated the boring history of your existence. We have talked about the hardware and the software. But beneath all the science and all the biology lies a simpler truth. You are a part of a rhythm that is as old as the stars. Everything in the universe has a beginning, a middle, and a completion. The flower does not mourn its petals as they fall to the earth. It knows that the seed is safe. The sun does not regret the sunset, it knows that it is simply shining on the other side of the world. And you, as you lie there, in the deepest part of the night, you can finally let go of the struggle to be constant. You are not meant to stay the same. You are meant to flow. Acceptance is not a giving up. It is a taking in. It is the moment you stop seeing your aging as an enemy and start seeing it as an old friend who has walked a very long road just to be with you tonight. It is the moment you realize that every line on your face, every ache in your joints, and every slow beat of your heart is a medal of honor. It is proof that you stayed. It is proof that you survived. As you feel the heavy, sweet, absolute pull of sleep, try to feel the beauty of your own completion. You have been the child running through the grass. You have been the youth burning with passion and ambition. You have been the builder, the worker, the keeper of the flame. And now you are the one who accepts. You are the one who watches the lake. In the modern world, we are taught to fight the end of every story. We want the day to last forever. We want the summer to never turn to autumn. But that is a tired, anxious way to live. True peace, the quiet acceptance, is knowing that the end of the day is what makes the day sacred. Think of the software of your ego. It is finally going silent. It no longer needs to defend you. It no longer needs to prove you. It is dissolving into the hardware of the universe. You are returning to the state of pure, unconditioned being. Before you were a name, you were a breath. Before you were a story, you were a heartbeat. And tonight, you are returning to that original, nameless peace. Imagine the biological budget we spoke of at the very beginning. The golden ledger. Look at the final page. The numbers are gone. The ink has faded. The book is not empty, it is just finished. There are no more debts to pay. No more taxes to calculate. The accountant has closed his eyes and is sleeping in the quiet library. Everything is balanced. Feel the weight of your body as it becomes one with the bed, the floor, the earth, and the night. You are not separate from the world tonight. You are the world. You are the atoms of the ancient stars, finally finding their rest in the silence. The narrative of decay is now the narrative of return. The high metabolism debt is settled. The social mirror is dark. The ghost in the machine is finally at home. Listen to the silence one last time. It is not a void. It is a presence. It is the sound of the universe breathing with you. Each breath is slower, deeper, more effortless than the one before it. You are not breathing, you are being breathed. The circle is complete. There is no more history to tell. There is no more science to explain. The boring history of your life has reached its most beautiful chapter. The chapter of rest. The lake is still. The mountain is dark. The stars are watching over a world that is perfectly, quietly, and absolutely okay. Accept the dark. Accept the peace. Accept the completion. You are safe. You are whole. You are, at last, finished for the day. Good night, weary soul. Good night, keeper of the flame. Good night. Sleep now. In the quiet. In the acceptance. In the eternal, beautiful night.